Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and I'd like to welcome you to my tutorial video on installing Eclipse on Mac OS X. So I still have the browser up from when I was doing the tutorial for installing Java 8. So if you haven't installed Java 8, please do that. Find the other tutorial, get that done, and rejoin us here. So I'm recording this in the summer of 2016, and here's the version of the operating system that we're using, OS X El Capitan 10.11.4. Okay, and now we're going to go to, we're going to open the browser, and we're going to go to eclipse.org. That's the organization that's responsible for Eclipse. And we're going to click on download. Okay. And so let's look at what we have here. We have a lot of versions. Okay. First of all, it can see that I'm on a 64-bit version of Mac OS X, which is the right version. So it's offering me things for that version. And we have several versions of the Eclipse IDE, IDE standing for Integrated Development Environment. And the one for Java developers has just what we need here. So let's click on that link. Okay. And now, now we're going to get some possible releases that we would be able to download. Now, I don't know if the download for Neon is quite ready. I know that Mars is already a year old, but let's look at Neon. And we've got Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Okay. And let's click on that. Okay. And what we would want to make sure is that we got the installer. But I'm not seeing it pointing to the installer right now. So why don't we back up a bit? Let's go back to downloads. Okay. So here we're back to downloads. Okay. And I think I got to the installer. I'm really thinking now. I went to downloads and went over in this related links area, and I clicked on the install guide. And if I click on that, then it says, what version do I want to install? And let's pick the first one, Neon, Eclipse 4.6. Okay. And now we get a list of things. And you can see that Eclipse Neon requires a Java 8 JRE JDK, which if you've been following along with the tutorials, you already have. It says it's scheduled for release on June 22nd. Well, that's a little early for us. So we're not going to be able to go with Neon. So let's go with Mars, Eclipse 4.5. That was released just about a year ago, June 24th, 2015. Okay. And consider using the new installer. Please see 6 steps to install Eclipse. Well, that sounds like it's just for us. All right. And step 1, download the installer. So we've got the installer for Mac OS X 64-bit. That looks like what we want. Why don't we download that? So we're going to click on that. And it's giving us a whole bunch of places to download from. Here's a place it wants to download it from Canada. Or get it fast and from our members. Let's try IBM. IBM's been a big supporter of Eclipse. They really started Eclipse. So here we go. Download the Eclipse installer for Mac Cocoa. That looks the right one. So click on Mac Cocoa. And here comes the installer down. Now this is just the program that is going to install Eclipse. So when we get the installer installed, we'll only have an installer. We won't have Eclipse proper. Okay. And let's double click on that tar. And now we have an Eclipse installer. That looks good. So this is, when we double clicked on it, we went to the downloads folder. And here you can see that tar, which is an archive file, which we double clicked on and expanded to get the Eclipse installer. And now I'm just going to double click on the Eclipse installer so it will start up. Say yes, I do want to open it. And here comes the Eclipse installer by Oomph. And now we get to pick the version that we want. And there are several versions of Eclipse. You can see that there are two versions here for Java, one for C and C++, one for PHP. We're going to be using it for Java, so we're going to take Eclipse IDE for Java developers. We could also use the Java EE developers one, but that just has extra stuff that's going to take up space on our computers. So let's go with the minimal version. Okay, and as you can see, it's going to install it in a folder under users. Trainer K is my user ID. Eclipse Java-Mars, so that shows that we're getting the right version. We want the Mars version, and we're just going to click install. So we're going to accept the license, and we're going to watch it install. And I guess it's a little bit like watching paint dry. I'm not sure how much downloading it has to do. Maybe quite a bit. So while we're waiting for that install to happen, I'm going to pause the video so we're not watching paint dry. And I'll be back when we have a little more to do. Okay, and here we are. That took about 5 minutes to get to the point where we got a new prompt in the dialog. We have a big button here for launch. So now we're going to click on launch. And it looks like it's launching Eclipse, which is a good sign. And it is. The first thing that happens when you start Eclipse is it tells you the part of the file system where it's going to put the workspace for Eclipse. And a workspace for Eclipse is just really a directory where it keeps its files. And it's putting it into documents here on my Mac with the folder name workspace. I'm just going to keep that. So I'm going to say OK. And Eclipse is a pretty big Java application. So depending upon how powerful your machine is, it can take a little while to load up. I've got a pretty beefy machine. So as you saw, it came up pretty quickly. And as you can see, I have up the welcome screen. Welcome to Eclipse IDE for Java developers. And that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to close the welcome screen. Okay. And here we have a typical view of what we call the workbench. And this tutorial is only an install. It's not a tour of the workbench, or we're not going to do a practice Java program. So this is going to be just enough to prove to ourselves that we have it properly installed. So we're going to go up here and to the upper left and click the red ball to close Eclipse. It always asks you if you want to exit. Now this, in terms of current thinking on user interaction design, this is probably old school, but Eclipse can take a long time to load on some machines, and if you accidentally back out of it, sometimes you regret that when you have to load it up again. So I tend to leave the configuration here just as it is, where it does ask me to confirm if I want to exit, and I just say OK. It's possible to turn that off. You're just going to have to decide what works for you. Okay, and then how can we know how to run this application? Well, we can close our browser. Okay, and it should be in our file system under applications. So let's just look. Let's open a Finder, and let's go over and click on applications, and let's go down and look for Eclipse. And we're not seeing Eclipse here, so that's not a real good install, I would say. So we had it installed, but we can't find it anywhere because it didn't install it under applications, did it? Okay. So let's try to remember where it was. Okay, it's under Macintosh HD. So one solution here would have been to say, okay, install it in applications, and then we'd have seen it in applications. Here, I'm just going to look at the hard drive for my virtual machine. It was under users. Trainer K is my user ID. And then we've got Eclipse, Java Mars. So there it is. If we double click on that, we're going to start up the applications. Let's do that. And again, we can say OK to the default workspace for right now. Now, if you want to be able to start this application easily, you want it to be kept in the dock. So go down to the dock, and you see the Eclipse icon there. Right-click on it, pick Options, and then Keep in Dock. Okay? So now that icon should remain in the dock even when this application is completely closed. Now, how do we completely close an application on Mac OS X? Well, let's go up to the menu bar and click on Eclipse, quit Eclipse. It's another way to do it. Confirm OK that you want to quit. Okay. And you can see that there's no dot underneath the icon, which means it's not loaded at all. But the icon's there because we're keeping it in the dock. And if we click on that, we're going to fire up Eclipse. And there it is. Okay, and we come right to this thing that we call the workbench. We don't get the welcome screen. As soon as you clear the welcome screen the first time, you typically don't get that back. So there we are. So I'm going to quit that application yet one more time, say OK. And I have Eclipse installed. So that's it for what we're trying to do here in the tutorial. Stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.